I loved spending time in the park. It was big and green, full of tall trees and flowers. I would sit on the grass and listen to the birds sing. Sometimes I played music with my best friend, Tom. We would laugh and play songs under the blue sky. Tom was funny and kind. We had been friends for a long time. I felt happy when I was with him. One day, I decided to walk in the park by myself. The sun was warm and the air was fresh. I wanted to find something new, something special. I walked between the tall trees and looked at the flowers. I heard the sound of the wind, and it made me smile. I felt like I was in a magical place. As I walked, I saw an old tree with big roots. The tree was old, and the roots were long and wide. I looked at the roots and saw something shiny. It was a small locket. I reached down and picked it up. It was gold and beautiful. It had a small picture inside and a tiny chain. I opened the locket and looked inside. There was a small picture of a girl, but I did not know who she was. When I opened the locket, I heard a soft whisper. It was like the wind was talking to me. I was surprised and a little scared, but I also felt excited. I looked around. No one was there. I was alone in the park. I felt the locket was special. It was warm in my hand, and I felt a small smile come to my face. I closed the locket and put it in my pocket. I ran home and could not wait to tell Tom about my new find. When I got home, I sat on my bed and looked at the locket. I opened it again, and the whisper came back. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I felt both scared and happy. I looked into the locket and saw a vision. It was me and Tom sitting in the park and playing music. We were happy. We laughed, and the sun shined on us. I felt warm and excited. I closed the locket and smiled. I knew that this locket was special. It could show me the future. I felt a little scared, but I was also curious. I wanted to see more. I thought about Tom and our friendship. We spent so much time together. I thought about what it would be like if we were more than friends. The locket showed me a vision where we were happy. I wanted to see if it was true. The next day, I met Tom at the park. I showed him the locket and told him that I found it in the park near the old tree. Tom looked at it and smiled. He thought it was pretty. I felt my heart beat faster. I wanted to show him what the locket could do. I opened the locket and looked inside. I saw a vision of me and Tom sitting on the grass. We were talking and laughing. The sun was bright and we felt happy. Tom looked at the vision and I felt his eyes on me. He smiled and said we could try to play music together. I felt so happy. We played songs, and the park was full of laughter and music. I felt like this was my best day. The locket was magic. It showed me things that made me feel excited and full of hope. Days passed, and I used the locket to see more visions. Some visions were small and simple, like me walking with Tom or us eating ice cream at the park. But then one day I looked in the locket and saw something different. I saw a vision of me sitting alone. The sun was gone and it was dark. I was crying and Tom was not there. My heart felt heavy and I did not understand. Why was I alone? What happened to Tom? I felt a cold chill go through me. I looked at the locket and closed it. I was scared. The locket was not just magic, it was showing me something bad. I did not want to see the future anymore. I wanted to put the locket away, but I could not. I was curious. What did the locket show me? Why was I alone? I wanted to know the truth. That night, I felt scared. I did not tell Tom about the sad vision. I was afraid he would think I was crazy. I did not want to lose him. The locket was showing me something I did not understand, and it made me feel scared. I wanted to know if Tom was still my friend. I thought about the vision. I felt a pain in my heart. The locket had shown me a future where I was sad and alone, and I did not want that to happen. The next day, I met Tom in the park again. I did not tell him about the vision. I wanted to act normal, but it was hard. I was afraid of what the locket had shown me. Tom was playing his guitar and laughing. He did not know I was worried. I watched him and I felt sad. I wanted to ask him if everything was okay between us, but I did not know how. The locket was in my pocket. I wanted to look in it again, but I was scared. What if I saw the same vision? What if I was alone again? I thought about what to do. The locket was not just a magic gift, it was a warning. I did not know if I wanted to know what would happen next. As I watched Tom play his guitar, I felt a mix of hope and fear. I wanted to see if the locket would show me more, but I was scared of what I might find. The sun shone bright in the sky, but my heart was heavy with worry. Would the locket show me the truth? Or would it show me a future I did not want to see? I did not know the answer, but I felt I had to be brave. The days passed, and I kept thinking about the locket and the vision it showed me. I was afraid and confused. I did not want to see the future where I was alone. It made my heart feel heavy and sad, but I still wanted to know more. I wanted to understand what the locket was trying to tell me. I met Tom in the park every day. He played his guitar and we laughed and sang songs. We were happy, but I felt something was different. Tom was not as open as before. He was quieter and sometimes looked away when I talked to him. I felt a little hurt, but did not say anything. I was afraid he would leave me if I told him how I felt. One day, Tom brought a new girl to the park. Her name was Lily. She was kind and had a big smile. She was friendly and laughed a lot. Tom talked to her and played music with her. I felt a sharp pain in my heart. I watched them and felt my hands shake. The locket was in my pocket, and I wanted to look inside. Would it show me a vision of Tom and Lily? Would it show me a future where I was alone? I waited until Tom and Lily left the park. I sat on the grass and took out the locket. I opened it and looked inside. I felt my heart race. The vision was different this time. I saw myself sitting alone on the grass. The park was dark and I felt cold. Tom was with Lily and they were happy. I felt a deep sadness. My heart ached and I wanted to cry. The locket showed me my fear that Tom would leave me for someone else. I put the locket back in my pocket and stood up. I walked home, my heart heavy. The vision in the locket was not just a dream, it was real. I felt like the locket was telling me the truth, but I did not want to believe it. I wanted to be happy with Tom. I wanted things to stay the same, but they were changing. I felt scared and lost. That night, I sat in my room and looked out the window. The moon was bright and the stars shone in the sky. I felt alone, even though I was in my room. I thought about Tom and the new girl, Lily. Why did he spend so much time with her? Did he not care about me anymore? The locket had shown me the future, but I did not want it to be true. I wanted to stop the sadness and hold on to the good times we had. The next day, I met Tom in the park. He was playing his guitar and smiling. I tried to smile too, but it was hard. I was afraid that Tom was changing and that he did not need me anymore. I sat next to him, but I did not play my guitar. I just watched him, feeling worried and sad. Tom looked at me and stopped playing. He asked me if I was okay. I nodded, but I did not say anything. I felt scared to tell him how I felt. I was afraid he would be mad or think I was silly. Tom started playing again, but I could not focus. I looked at the locket in my pocket and wanted to open it. What would it show me? Would it show me Tom with Lily, laughing and happy? Or would it show me something else? I was scared of what I would see. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I did not want to look in the locket. I wanted to be strong and not let fear control me. Days went by, and I saw Tom with Lily more often. They played music together, laughed, and spent time in the park. I felt alone, even when Tom was near. I wanted to be happy for him, but I was sad. The locket was always in my pocket, and I kept thinking about it. I was afraid to look inside, but I was also afraid not to. It felt like the locket was the only thing that could show me the truth. One afternoon, I sat on the grass and watched Tom and Lily. They were singing a song and smiling at each other. The park was bright, but my heart felt dark. I took out the locket and opened it. I saw the vision of me sitting alone on the grass. My eyes were full of tears, and the sun was setting. I felt the sadness in my heart. The locket was showing me the future, but it was not just a story. It was what I feared the most. I put the locket away and stood up. I walked home with tears in my eyes. I did not want to feel this pain anymore. I wanted to know the truth, but I was scared. The locket showed me what I was afraid of, but I did not know if it was real. I felt confused and hurt. Was this how the future would be? Would I lose Tom and be alone? That night, I sat in my room and thought about everything. I thought about the locket, the vision, and Tom with Lily. I felt like I had to do something. I could not just wait and be afraid. I needed to find out if the locket was telling the truth or if it was just my fear. I had to know if Tom still cared about me and if we could be friends again. The locket was in my hand, and I looked at it. It was still warm, and I felt a little comfort from it. I was scared, but I knew I had to be brave. I had to face what was coming, even if it was hard. I took a deep breath and decided to take the next step. The future was not certain, but I needed to find my own way, with or without the locket. The next morning, I woke up feeling a mix of fear and hope. I knew I could not let the locket control me. I had to be brave and face whatever came next. I wanted to know the truth about Tom and Lily, and I wanted to find a way to feel happy again. I needed to make a plan, but I did not know what to do. The locket was still in my pocket, and I could feel it pressing against my leg. It felt warm, like it had a secret to share. I walked to the park early that day. The air was cool, and the sky was a bright blue. I saw the flowers and listened to the birds. It was a nice day, but I felt nervous. I did not want to see Tom and Lily together, but I also wanted to know what was going on. I sat on the grass and watched the people in the park. There were children playing, couples walking, and people sitting on benches. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself. I looked at the locket and took it out of my pocket. I opened it slowly and looked inside. This time, there was no vision of me alone. There was a vision of Tom playing guitar with Lily. They were sitting on the grass, and they were happy. I felt my heart drop. I felt like I could not breathe. I looked at the locket again, but it was just showing the same picture. I closed it and put it back in my pocket. I wanted to run away, but I stayed there, hoping that Tom would come. I sat in the park for a long time, but Tom did not come. I felt lonely. I thought about the times when Tom and I played music together. Those were happy times. I miss them. I miss the feeling of being close to him and laughing with him. I wanted things to go back to how they were before. I wanted to find a way to make everything right. As I sat on the grass, I thought about what to do. I wanted to talk to Tom, but I was afraid. I was afraid he would say he did not want to be friends anymore. I was afraid he would tell me he liked Lily more. I did not want to lose him, but I felt like I was already losing him. The locket showed me that future, and I could not ignore it. I decided to walk around the park to clear my mind. I wanted to forget the sadness and think about happy things. I looked at the trees and the flowers, but it was not enough. I still felt the pain in my heart. I missed Tom and I missed the good times we had. I needed to find a way to tell him how I felt. I needed to tell him that I was scared and that I wanted our friendship to stay strong. The day passed and the sun started to set. The park was still full of people, but I felt alone. I stood up and started to walk home. I looked back at the park and saw Tom and Lily sitting on a bench. Tom was playing his guitar and Lily was smiling and listening. They looked happy, and my heart felt heavy. I turned away and walked home quickly. My heart was full of pain, and I felt tears come to my eyes. I wanted to be strong, but it was hard. When I got home, I sat in my room and looked at the locket. I felt lost and confused. I wanted to see what the future held, but I was afraid of what I might find. The locket had shown me a future where I was alone, and I did not want that to happen. But maybe the locket was not telling the truth. Maybe it was just showing my fears. I wanted to believe that I could change the future, but I did not know how. I decided to go to the park again the next day. I wanted to see Tom and talk to him. I needed to know where we stood. I took a deep breath and walked to the park. The morning was cool, and the birds were singing. I sat on the bench and waited. I felt my heart beating fast. I did not know if Tom would come or if he would be with Lily again. After a while, Tom appeared in the park. He was walking with his guitar, and he smiled when he saw me. I felt a little hope. Maybe things were not so bad. I stood up and tried to smile back at him. He came over and sat next to me. I wanted to ask him so many things, but I did not know what to say. I looked at the locket in my pocket and took a deep breath. Tom started to play his guitar, and I listened. The music was nice, but I felt nervous. I wanted to ask him if he liked Lily, but I did not know if I could. I was afraid he would say yes. I looked at him, and he looked happy. That made me feel a little better. Maybe I was just overthinking. Maybe I was scared for no reason. I needed to be brave and trust that things would be okay. The sun was high in the sky, and the park was full of life. I felt the warmth of the sun and heard the birds singing. I wanted to enjoy this moment and not think about the locket or the future. I wanted to be happy with Tom, even if I was scared. I had to find a way to be brave and face my fears. The future was not written yet, and maybe I could change it. The next few days were hard. I still saw Tom in the park with Lily. They played music, laughed, and spent time together. I felt sad every time I saw them. My heart ached, and I missed Tom. I missed the good times we had. I wanted things to go back to normal, but I did not know how. The locket was always with me, and it reminded me of my fears. I want to know the truth, but I was afraid to find out. One morning, I decided to go to the park early. I wanted to see if Tom would come and play music. I sat on the grass and watched the people around me. The sun was warm, and the birds sang in the trees. I felt a little better. I closed my eyes and listened to the sounds of the park. It was peaceful, but my heart was still full of worry. Suddenly, I heard a familiar sound. It was the sound of a guitar. I opened my eyes and looked around. Tom was walking towards me. He was playing his guitar, and he smiled when he saw me. My heart jumped with surprise and hope. He sat down next to me, and we watched the people in the park together. I wanted to tell him how I felt, but I was scared. I was afraid he would say he wanted to be with Lily and not me. Tom played his guitar, and I listened. The music was beautiful, and it made me feel calm. I felt happy to be near him, even if it was hard. I wanted to stay in this moment and not think about the future. I wanted to forget the locket and the visions it showed me. I needed to find a way to be brave and trust that everything would be okay. After a while, Tom stopped playing and looked at me. He smiled, but I could see he was thinking about something. I felt nervous. What did he want to say? I looked at the locket in my pocket and felt my heart beat faster. I wanted to take it out and see what it would show me. Would it show me Tom and Lily? Or would it show me something else? I was afraid to look, but I was also curious. Tom spoke. He said he wanted to tell me something. My heart raced. What was he going to say? I tried to listen, but my mind was full of worries. Tom said he was happy to see me and that he missed playing music with me. He said he liked spending time with me and that he wanted us to be friends. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. He did not want to leave me. He wanted to be my friend. My heart felt lighter, and I smiled. The pain and fear I had felt before were still there, but now there was hope. I felt like the locket had lied to me. Maybe the future was not set in stone. Maybe I could change what was coming. I wanted to be brave and trust that things could get better. Tom started to play his guitar again, and I sang with him. The music was happy, and we laughed together. I felt good like the old days. I could not forget about the locket, but I did not want it to control me. I wanted to believe that we could make new memories and be happy. I wanted to feel strong, even if I was scared. The day passed quickly, and soon it was evening. The sun was setting, and the sky was a mix of orange and pink. Tom and I sat on the grass and watched the sky. It was beautiful, and it made me feel peaceful. I looked at Tom and felt grateful. I was glad that we could be friends again. I did not know what the future would bring, but I knew I did not want to lose this moment. As the sun went down, Tom stopped playing his guitar. He looked at me and smiled. I smiled back, but I still felt a little worried. The locket was in my pocket, and I wanted to know what it would show me. I had to decide if I would look or if I would trust that things would be okay. I wanted to be brave, but it was hard. Tom stood up and said he had to go home. He said he would come back to the park the next day. I nodded and watched him walk away. I felt sad to see him go, but I was happy that we had spent the day together. I stood up and started to walk home. The park was quiet now, and the sky was dark. I felt the cool air on my skin and looked up at the stars. They were bright and beautiful. When I got home, I sat in my room and took out the locket. I held it in my hand and looked at it. It felt warm, and I wanted to open it. I felt my heart beating fast. I was scared, but I wanted to know what it would show me. I took a deep breath and opened the locket. The vision was not what I expected. It was not Tom and Lily. It was me, sitting on the grass alone, but I was smiling. I looked happy. I felt a mix of emotions. I felt surprised, but I also felt hope. The vision showed me that even if things were hard now, I could be okay. I could be strong and happy on my own. I put the locket back in my pocket and smiled. Maybe I did not need to be afraid. Maybe I could face whatever came next. The future was not set in stone, and I could change it. I felt a new sense of hope and strength. I was ready to face the future, no matter what it brought. The next morning, I felt different. I felt stronger. The vision in the locket showed me that I could be happy, even if things were hard now. I took a deep breath and decided to go to the park again. I wanted to see Tom and be with my friends. I wanted to feel happy and not be afraid of the future. When I reached the park, it was still early and the air was fresh. I sat on the bench and watched the people walking by. I saw children playing and laughing. I saw old couples holding hands. I smiled because the park was full of life. It made me feel better. I was ready to face whatever came next. After a while, I saw Tom coming toward me. He was carrying his guitar and smiling. My heart felt warm, and I felt excited to see him. He sat next to me, and we talked about simple things. The sky was blue, and the sun was bright. I felt calm, and the fear I had before was not there. I was not worried about Lily or the locket. I just wanted to enjoy this moment. Tom started playing his guitar, and I sang with him. We played music for a long time, and I felt like I was in a good place. The music was like a hug that made me feel safe. I did not think about the locket or the future. I wanted to stay in this moment and be happy. I wanted to be with Tom and my friends. It was a new start for me, and I felt strong. As we played, Tom stopped for a moment and looked at me. His smile was warm and kind. I looked back at him and felt a mix of feelings. I still liked him, but I was not afraid. I knew that I could be happy alone or with friends. I was learning to be brave and face my fears. The locket did not control me anymore. I had control over my own heart and mind. Tom stood up and said he had to go home. I nodded and smiled. He said he would come back tomorrow. I felt a little sad to see him go, but I knew I would be okay. I watched him walk away, and then I looked at the sky. The sun was setting, and the park was turning a warm shade of orange and pink. I felt peaceful, and I knew that I was not alone. I had friends, and I had myself. I walked home slowly, looking at the trees and the flowers. I thought about all the things I wanted to do. I wanted to read more books, try new foods, and learn new songs. I wanted to be happy and not be afraid of what might happen. I wanted to be brave, even if it was hard. The locket was still in my pocket, but it did not feel as important as before. I did not need it to tell me what the future would be. I could make my own future. When I got home, I felt tired but happy. I sat on my bed and looked out the window. The stars were bright in the night sky. I smiled and felt strong. I could face whatever came next, and I did not need to be afraid. I knew that my life was more than the locket, more than Tom and Lily, and more than the pain I felt. I was more than my fears. The next day, I went back to the park and met Tom again. We played music and laughed. I felt happy, and the sadness from before was gone. We played until the sun was high in the sky. I felt free and full of hope. I wanted to remember this moment forever. I wanted to keep being strong and brave. As the days passed, I started to feel like myself again. I did not need the locket to tell me what the future would be. I was making my own future, step by step. I went to the park every day, and Tom came too. We played music, sang songs, and had fun. I also spent time with my friends and did things that made me happy. I felt like I was growing stronger, and the fear that used to be in my heart was now gone. One evening, as I sat on the grass and looked at the sunset, I felt proud of myself. I had faced my fears and found hope. I knew that I would always have moments of sadness, but I could get through them. I was not afraid of being alone or being with friends. I was not afraid of what the future would bring. I could be brave and I could be happy. The locket was still in my pocket, but I no longer needed to look at it. I had learned that my life was not written by a locket or by anyone else. My life was mine to live, and I was ready for whatever came next. The future was full of possibilities, and I was excited to see what they would be. The days turned into weeks, and I felt more and more like myself. The fear and sadness I felt before were not as strong. I was learning to be happy and find joy in the small things. I spent my time playing music, reading books, and enjoying time with my friends. The park was always full of life, and I loved seeing the people there. Tom was still my friend, and we played music together often. I felt strong, and I was not afraid to face the future. One day, as I sat on the bench in the park, I looked at the locket in my pocket. It was still there, but I did not need it anymore. The locket had helped me see that I could be brave, but I had learned to be strong without it. I took it out and looked at it one last time. I remembered the fear I felt and the sadness, but I also remembered the hope that came after. I smiled and decided it was time to let it go. I walked to the river and tossed the locket into the water. I watched as it floated and then sank. The locket was gone, but I felt free. After I let the locket go, I felt lighter. The future was unknown, but I was not afraid anymore. I could see that life was full of surprises, and I was ready for them. I stood up and took a deep breath. The sun was shining, and the sky was blue. It was a beautiful day, and I wanted to enjoy it. I walked around the park, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face and listening to the sounds of the birds. I felt happy and free. Tom came by, and we played music together. We sang songs and laughed, and I felt like nothing could make me sad. I knew that the future would not always be easy, but I also knew that I was strong enough to handle it. I did not need the locket to tell me what was coming. I could make my own choices and create my own happiness. As the weeks passed, I started to see the changes in myself. I was not just strong, I was brave and happy. I spent time with my friends and made new ones. I learned to play new songs on the guitar and even taught my friends how to play. The park was full of music and laughter, and I was part of it. I felt proud of myself for facing my fears and finding the strength to be happy. One evening, I sat on the grass, watching the sunset. The sky was full of colors: orange, pink, and purple. It was beautiful, and I felt thankful for this moment. I thought about everything I had learned. I learned that it was okay to be sad, but it was also okay to be happy. I learned that the future was not something to fear, but something to look forward to. I knew that I would always have times of sadness, but I also knew that I could get through them. I was ready for whatever came next. Tom came over and sat next to me. We looked at the sunset together. I felt happy to have him as a friend. I did not need him to be more than a friend. I had learned that my happiness did not come from one person or one thing. My happiness came from inside me. I was strong and I was ready for anything. The stars came out and the night was cool. I looked up at the sky and felt a sense of peace. I felt free and full of hope. I did not know what the future would bring, but I knew that I would be okay. I would face it with strength and courage. I could make my own story, and I was ready to live it. As I sat there, I felt proud of the journey I had taken. I had faced my fears, learned to be brave, and found happiness in the little moments. The locket was gone, but it had taught me an important lesson. I was in control of my life. I could be happy and I could be strong. I was ready for whatever came next, and I was not afraid anymore. The future was mine to create, and I was excited to see what it would bring.